Donald Trump's birthday is almost here. I hope your present isn't a $45 million parade. He already bought himself one of those. This is just another day. If you happen to be in the DC area this weekend and are looking to take a leisurely stroll around the National Mall, I'd suggest you make other plans.
This weekend, an event that doesn't happen often in our country. It's a military parade through the streets of our nation's capital. Complete with tanks and helicopters, thousands of soldiers to be praised. The parade officially marks the 250th anniversary of the Army. However, our Joe St. George explains the event has taken a pretty controversial and political turn.
However, weirdly, this event has taken a pretty controversial turn because it turns out those Democrats want to protest this lovely event where the president spends $45 million on a jerk-off parade to celebrate himself. For those who haven't graduated from the Kim Jong-un School of State TV, this parade is controversial because while Trump claims it's a celebration of our military, in reality it is a blatant vanity project for his 79th birthday and just the next obvious indicator that our president sees himself as a dictator. Here they are rehearsing. I mean, when it becomes a challenge to distinguish our military parades from these, I think you've lost the plot. And Trump, for his part, is doing his level best to ensure that there is no daylight between his parade and that of every other totalitarian ruler.
The parade itself is expected to include, get this, 6,600 soldiers, as well as 150 vehicles and aircraft. They will all be here along the parade route we have highlighted in yellow for you.
President Trump wanted a parade during his first term after he visited France and saw the celebrations on Bastille Day.
Donald Trump is every single kid who studied abroad in Paris. Coming back home and wanting to replicate the life-changing experience he had overseas is something that all of us do, including me. I tried to make the male capris happen. I thought to myself, you know what? I could rock a Speedo at the beach in New Jersey. I complained about how much better the non-GMO fruits and vegetables tasted, but you know what I did? I came back to reality. But this man is still stuck in his study abroad phase. The only difference is that now, the American taxpayer is on the hook for it.
The cost to taxpayers, the Army alone spending up to $45 million.
Yes, the cost-cutting Doge president looking to remove waste, fraud, and abuse thinks a $45 million traffic clusterfuck is a great way to spend our nation's money. And he's doing it, by the way, all while ushering a bill through the Senate that would explode the deficit, strip healthcare from millions of people, and kick working-class Americans off of food stamps. And by the way, the forecast says it's going to be a wet day during the parade, but I'm not sure it'll be rain. It might just be Donald Trump pissing all over low-income Americans. This parade is beyond obscene and tone-deaf, but I do want to clarify that my negativity toward this parade is not aimed at members of the military. They didn't ask to be there. They serve at the pleasure of the commander-in-chief, and whether it's being deployed overseas or marching down Pennsylvania Avenue, unlike Donald Trump, they know how to obey lawful orders. But given the fact that they are going to be pawns in his political chess games, it's at least heartening to know that they're being well taken care of.
They're staying in 2 government buildings near Capitol Hill from about June 11th to June 15th. Officials say they're sleeping on cots, eating packaged meals called MREs, and getting a per diem of $69 a day.
This has Elon Musk written all over it. Someone was like, hey, we should pay the troops a living wage. And Elon was like, you know, it would be way funnier if we paid them $69. And if you think I'm kidding, might I present to you just a small sampling of Elon's Twitter feed. Anyone want to create a hard-hitting show on X called 69 Minutes? I will actually fund it. I was born 69 days after 420. 69.420% of statistics are false. But 69 isn't all that surprising considering these two guys have been consistently blowing each other for years. Also, seriously, $69 a day? Donald Trump so deplores making life easy on anyone that he couldn't even hand out a stipend in a round number? This parade would be an uncomfortable display of autocratic leadership regardless of who is in office, but the fact that this man is in charge makes it all the more disturbing. Millions of Americans are taking to the streets this weekend to protest illegal ICE raids, the arrests of multiple Democratic officials, and the frightening consolidation of power that Donald Trump so craves. So apologies if we don't share the same enthusiasm as this guy.
I want to show you this because, I mean, how often do you get a chance to be this close to an Apache helicopter, right?
How often? Kind of any time you want, because in Washington, D.C., there's a whole room filled with them at the Air and Space Museum. And maybe my math is off, but since entry is free there, that puts us at just slightly less than $45 million. But for people who find this parade just slightly uncomfortable, there seems to be a consistent question from the right. Why do you hate America?
It's inspiring. It's not intimidating. At least it's not if you love America, you enjoy watching this country flex its muscles and display its strength.
No, it's possible to love something and still not be cool with it flaunting its strength and beating its chest. Whether it's America or this guy, something about it just feels deeply uncomfortable. Look, while there may be a literal march going on this weekend, it's not a march towards autocracy, because guess what? We've already arrived, and everyone's clear-eyed about it.
We are in the midst of a constitutional crisis in this country because we have an executive branch that is extra-constitutional and lawless in so many of its actions.
He fully intends to trash the Constitution of the United States.
This is about power, the blatant, pervasive, and unapologetic power grab and the abuse of the office of the president.
You see, even staunch conservatives are voicing their discomfort with what they and the rest of us see as moves by a sitting president that are far outside the bounds. Sorry. Oh, those were actually about a different president's dictatorial rule. Well, I must know, what was the grave offense that prompted such weighty accusations?
This week, he signs into law a raise in the minimum wage, albeit in the future for federal contract employees only. Now, to some of you, this could be a good thing, but that's not the point.
Right, not the point. I mean, it can't be, because if you went guns a-blazing over a raise in the minimum wage for federal employees, that would make you look super dumb. But if that was the response to Obama facilitating a raise for some Americans, then you gotta imagine that if he was defying Supreme Court rulings, silencing media outlets, threatening Americans' right to peacefully assemble, and saying he wanted to terminate parts of the Constitution, then this type of rhetoric would seem appropriate.
It's intimidation that rises to the level of a dictatorship. This is a democracy. This is the United States of America. Our founders broke from a king, from a monarchy, so that we could be a government of, by, and for the people.
But Obama wasn't doing any of those things. This guy is. And his actions feel just slightly worse than raising the minimum wage. And so surely, if Judge Jeanine was that bent out of shape over the prospect of some Americans getting paid enough to survive, then just imagine the warpath she must be on now. If only we could find her. She must be close. Oh, here she is.
And this city will again become a shining city on a hill in an America that President Trump has promised to make great again and will make safe again.
Ha! Phew! Thank God she's here to protect us from the real authoritarianism that is paying people enough money to survive. Well, surely Glenn Beck can see clearly. I mean, he literally suggested that Obama would be America's first dictator, so I can only imagine what he thinks about the guy who called for terminating the Constitution.
I can't believe what they're saying about Donald Trump, that everybody is saying that this is, about his birthday. It is the 200. What part of the 250th anniversary of America do people not get?
What part? There's not really a single one, more like 45 million of them. Can you even imagine what the reaction would have been if Barack Obama took out America's checkbook to pay for a military parade on his birthday? There wouldn't be a Capitol building left for these assholes to storm. Peacefully assemble in front of. Everyone on the right, like Glenn Beck, Fox News, and Jeanine Pirro, can try and downplay the severity of what we're witnessing from Donald Trump and his administration, but it's as clear as day. Sorry to say, Jeanine, but there isn't enough wine on the planet to make people forget what we're watching. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.